Hey there, welcome to the DM's Craft. I'm DM Scotty. Good to have you with me again. Now this is going to be a short series about adding details to projects. These are things that may not be lengthy enough to do a whole video on, but little tips that will definitely add to your project, add some interest to your tiles and projects, but not necessarily be enough to fill a full-length video. So this is going to be a series I'm going to do on short tips, and let's go to our first one. Here we go. I have an irregular tile section I've made. I show how to do this in an earlier video. I've already added some texture to the edge. This is just a basic tile. Now in my campaign, my creatures of annoyance are mites, and they're very much like goblins. They're just of a fey origin, and they have an affinity for living in hollows, under trees, and that type of thing. So what I've pictured is that the mites use their powers to shape roots and everything so they can live in these caves. And unlike regular caves, I don't make these out of show these like stone. These are like dirt with roots that hold up the cave so it doesn't collapse. So I've come up with an ingenious way to add the roots to a tile, and I'm just going to use my trusty glue gun, and then just put it on the tile, and then just kind of do a squiggly line. Hope you can see this. And another one coming out from it, and just keep adding. And then just add as many as you want. And this will show up great once you do the tile. I'm going to come in for a closer look so you can see exactly what I'm doing. So here we are. I've zoomed in quite a bit. I've got an empty section here, so I'm going to start doing the root system. So I'll just do a squiggly line, taper off, and add another one to it, and then just keep adding. Till I'm satisfied. And then I want to do it on the other side. So I hope you can see this. Since the glue is clear, it's a little hard. But you'll see it much better. We're going to paint this, and you'll see it much better. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint this with a texture paint. Okay, there I've got all my roots in. I'm going to paint this with the texture paint, but I'm going to use the brown texture paint to give it a dirt texture as opposed to the stone texture. So I'll go ahead and paint that, and then we'll move to the next step. So here we go. I've got my tile. I've got my dirt texture on there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to water down my black, and I'm going to do some edging, some shadow around the edge. Kind of gives it a more three-dimensional quality, and this is fairly wet. And it may look a little dark now, but it'll dry thinner. So there we go. That gives it some dimension. Also, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the black to trace around my root system. So I'll just kind of, doesn't have to be perfect, you don't want it too thick. This will help give the roots a three-dimensional quality when I dry brush. That's when the magic really happens. Okay, so there we go. We will let this dry, and then we'll move on to the dry brush, and we'll be finished with this tile. So here's our tile. It's all dry. So now what we're going to do is use the light tan. It's actually a coffee color, and it's just a very light tan. So I'll get that on the brush. No water, I'm just using it directly. So then I'll just pick out the edge. See how that pops out. Now it looks a little lighter than it will when it dries, so a lot of paint to do. So that kind of picks out the edge there. Now what I'm going to do is kind of go over the surface of these vines. And see how those really pop out? Well, the roots actually. See how those roots really pop out? You can also get a little bit on the tile itself. So there we go, ready-made roots. And so look how good that looks. Now one last little thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of green to this, just to add some variation to the color on the tile. So we'll put that on now. So I'm just using a little bit of classical green, and I'll get that on my brush. And I'm just going to hit a little bit on the roots, not too much. Just to add some different. So there we go. We've got our tile all set and ready for adventure. And join us next time on the Short Tip.